Tick, tick, tick. There we go. We are live. Wednesday, June 5th. 12-game MLB slate coming off the full 15 last night. Got a little bit of weather to pay attention to for today. Adam, how's it been, man? I feel like we haven't talked in forever.
Yeah, pretty good. Moved into the new place, got a little bit of furniture now, so still adding some stuff, but excited to not be in the basement anymore. How have you been?
No more ship my modem is sad.
That
Sad.
ended anyway, since it turned out that was never the problem.
Yes, ship my new laptop certainly improved the situation. Now things have been good. Nothing crazy from a DFS perspective. Good days, bad days. I was banned from Reddit for a hot minute. Got that got that undone pretty quickly, and got mod status in the subreddit. So
you're back on Reddit now.
I'm also gone again now, but I just need to let everybody know.
Wait, you're banned again?
I may or may not be. The guy that dropped the ban hammer made a post saying like, "Fine, be back, but like don't be a jerk about it," which really never been my MO on there at all. And then I had another message that said I was banned again. So I don't really want to go through the effort of it all, but I think showing that I could become the mod and remove everybody else flexed a little bit of muscle on the community. So what are you going to do? It was fun. It was fun. Knowing that I got it done in about 5 minutes was pretty entertaining for me. 12 gamer today. I'm happy. I don't want the full 15. Honestly, I hope 2 of these games just get rained out. I'd go for like 10. There's a lot to manage yesterday. Did you get a lot of Marlins? Do you see that one coming?
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, I think that I might have had I did have a couple of teams with like Castro and Anderson mixed in.
Yeah.
That did pretty well. I probably got a little lucky because I used more uniques than usual yesterday to kind of play around with it because I've been getting beat pretty bad on bigger slates, I noticed. So I was trying to get more variation in my lineups, and that was a good slate to do it on.
Maybe you and I should sit down and have a little bit of a conversation about MLB DFS strategy because I've been taking a sweet beating on short slates, and large slates have been like my bread and butter. So I think we need to combine our efforts.
Yeah, short slates I've pretty much just been stacking against whoever you pitch.
That's a reasonable way to do it because that guy gets tagged every time except for Scherzer on Sunday, I guess it was. He went for 47 or something. Yeah. So other than that, we're good. Let's get the general stuff out of the way. MLB strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including a package with Fantasy Cruncher, all you have to do is enter the promo code MLB strategy. One big word when signing up. You can get that 50% off. Also, I'm dropping the link into chat right now to EMAC's Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. In that article, you will find a link to sign up for our presenting sponsor, which is Yahoo Sports. If you use that link, it will help us out tremendously and won't affect you at all. You can use the promo code AWESOMO, one word, and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. You can get into their 10 max contest. They run lower management fees. They've been running a $3 10 max zero management fee contest pretty regularly over the past week or two. That contest is the contest that got me ceremoniously banned from the subreddit, but what are you going to do? You should be playing that. My recommendation has not changed whatsoever. Whether or not I'm in that contest, it is still the best contest available to the public. It's just factual information. Really hard to dispute it. So get into it and find the link in EMAC Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article and sign up at Yahoo. Check it out. I played 2 nights ago. I did not play last night. I'm certainly playing tomorrow since I am not on the Live Before Lock show. It's hard to manage playing 3 sites and being on Live Before Lock. Just a lot of moving parts. So if I had a CSV import, I would do it, but they're keeping that away from people like me for, quality reasons, like making it easy on me. Another reason why you should play there.
Yeah, that's one reason I thought that whole thing on Reddit was so funny. It was like Yahoo does everything that they can to make it the best site to play for more casual players or people that aren't playing as much volume.
Yeah.
And so the fact that like it's hard for you to play there is even more of a reason why people who aren't playing the volume that you are, I am, should be playing there with their first X amount of money.
Exactly. I really enjoyed the piece where friend of the program, Dave from Fantasy Cruncher, dropped in a little tidbit that the guy that got all butthurt also got butthurt when other people were playing on Yahoo and they were sponsored by Yahoo, and thought that was a little bit not above board. So this guy is taking stances on both sides of the fence. So kudos to him. Really the king of the internet.
He should get a job in this industry. That's what most people do.
Yeah, for real. He would fit this industry pretty well. Not Awesemo.com, but other places. Some Awesemo.com. All right, you ready to talk 12 games?
Yeah.
I know you're going to recommend everybody.
Yeah, of course.
I think I have DMs. You recommended basically every pitcher yesterday, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No, not recommended, just talked about.
Drew asymptomatic or whatever word you actually auto-corrected. Nobody else is going to get it. It's not that interesting. But if Drew Smiley makes it to another start, I'll make sure to drop it in here. Let everybody in on the joke. Ready to kick this off?
Yeah.
Pirates and Braves, first game up. 4.5 run implied total for the Pirates, 4.9 for the Braves. 54% chance to win for Atlanta. Joe Musgrove going for the Pirates. Kevin Gausman going for the Braves. Wasn't a great one for Gausman's last time out. Today, not really getting any ownership. A lot of that has to do with the way everybody's priced at the top. Musgrove got to 8% on DraftKings, only 1% on Yahoo, nothing on FanDuel. 5,600. I have more interest in Musgrove here than I do on Gausman just because of price. Although Gausman's close. How do you feel about these guys?
I mean, the price on Musgrove, I wish it would rise just so I didn't have to roster him against the Braves, because it's a matchup that really scares me. It's a lot of lefties.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a balanced lineup, but they have difficult outs and difficult left-handed bats. I don't think it's a great strikeout spot for Musgrove, but he's pitching in PNC, and he's just a more talented pitcher than a $5,600 DraftKings price tag. So I will have Musgroves and SP2, assuming weather cooperates here. Gausman as well. I think the price tag's too cheap, and he benefits from facing this left-handed heavy Pirates lineup. Not a lot of strikeouts there, but not a great park for left-handed power. And Gausman, throughout his career, has gotten strikeouts against lefties because he'll throw that splitter, changeup, whatever you want to call it, to lefties. This year he's been throwing it to both sides, but even less of a concern here with how many left-handed bats there are. So both of these pitchers, I think, are very reasonably priced.
Yeah, I agree. Keep an eye on it. Weather is going to play a big role in today's slate. It doesn't look like it's going to be one of those days where it's clean. It's going to be a lot of there is some rain, delays are possible, and those are the worst days. So keep an eye on it.
28.6. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
28.6% strikeout percentage against lefties for Gausman this year, compared to 19.4% against righties.
Wow. That's a pretty dramatic split in the direction I wouldn't expect.
Yeah, 43% splitter usage to lefties compared to 36% to righties. So still throwing it more to lefties, but like if you go back and look at previous years, he's throwing it like almost twice as often to righties compared to last year.
Okay.
He's actually increased his usage to both sides. If you look at last year, he was throwing a splitter 34% to lefties and 20% to righties. This year, he's 43% to lefties and 36% to righties. So Tyler Flowers and staff have finally gotten to him that maybe he should throw his best pitch more often.
I know you kind of mentioned it in Premium Slack yesterday about sort of the way that your pitching exposure has been coming out in a big slate. If Musgrove is 8%, are you assuming you'd be over that number? Because that's sort of where I'm landing.
Yeah. In general, my pitching exposure has been getting kind of spread out, but there are slates where I end up really concentrated at pitcher and then just spreading out hitters. Like yesterday wasn't one of them because there were so many pitchers that I thought graded out similarly. Mm-hmm. But, with a really cheap Musgrove, I think that I'll just end up being overweight on him.
Okay. Yeah, I sort of feel the same way. He's the best of the bottom.
Especially because he's someone that always projects pretty well for me. So when they keep dropping his price tag, it's just...
It's not helping. It's not helping. I'd like to get to more Gausman, or maybe not just because the Pirates don't strike out that much, but On a different day, a $6,700 Gausman would stand out to me, and I don't think that today is going to be that day. Any bats in this game? Acuna is getting a little bit of love on DK at 4,600, but neither team is getting any sort of real exposure outside of the Braves on Yahoo. They have 4 guys just south of 20% expected ownership. So that's Acuna, Donaldson, McCann, Albies. So a little popular on Yahoo. No real popularity across either team or any other site. So I don't really see much of interest here, but I'm wondering if you do.
No, not really. Not a great park for power, and Musgrove does a pretty good job of limiting it. 127 expected ISO to righties this year, 161 to lefties. Go back to last year, it's 131 and 143 respectively. The price tag on Acuna from a talent perspective is clearly too cheap. He's better than that price tag, but it is a 12-game slate and it's the outfield, so there's always a million options out there that are underpriced.
Okay. Favorite bat in this entire game?
Either Acuna or actually I think Josh Donaldson's pretty affordable.
Yeah.
He's remembered how to hit again. He started off slow, but already he's turned it around to where his WOBA and his WRC plus this year are almost identical to what they were last season. So I think that he's a little bit underpriced based on his early performance this season.
I like that call. Yeah, as for stacks, doesn't really feel like my game. To the Blue Jays we go. Blue Jays 3.5 run implied total. Yankees 5. 65% chance to win. It's Trent Thornton going for Toronto. James Paxton going for the Yanks. No ownership at all going to Thornton. Paxton 14% on Yahoo, 11 on DK, 8% on FanDuel. He's in this upper tier of like 6 guys, maybe 7, all priced in like the 9K or higher range. Look, to me, Paxton is a guy today. I'm going to have a hard time prioritizing him. I expect to have a little bit of him, but he doesn't stand out as much as 2 other guys for me, which would be Carrasco and Chris Sale.
Yeah, that's the same boat that I'm in. I think that there are probably concerns about Paxton, or not probably, there are concerns about Paxton being able to go as deep into a game as some of the other guys priced up there. He threw 66 pitches in his first start back from the disabled list. This is a guy who is frequently injured, so I don't expect the Yankees to be like, okay, cool, you threw 66 pitches, go throw 110. That would surprise me. And when you have so many pitchers at the top and you're not getting a price break on Paxton, I mean, looking at DraftKings pricing, he's $700 more than Sale. It's really tough to get there, even though the matchup is really good, just because he has to go out there, be incredibly efficient, strike out every batter he faces like he did against the Padres, just to give you a score that you're happy with at that price point. And that's ignoring the fact that there's a bunch of other pitchers on the slate that can still beat that score.
Yep. Yeah, it's just tough at that price. Not that I have any problem getting to him. He grades out well. There's clearly a lot of top-end pitching today. I just don't think he's the priority. Bats, though. As of right now, the Yankees are my top stack on FanDuel, top stack on DraftKings, and they are second on Yahoo. I'm curious to get your thoughts. You liking any Yankees bats?
I don't think I'm quite as high on them, just because for the most part they're a bunch of righties, and Thornton has pretty drastic splits between righties and lefties as far as allowing power and production in general. His strikeout percentage is about the same to both sides, between 25 and 26%, but he's allowed a 285 expected WOBA with a 133 expected ISO and a 14% swinging strike percentage to righties, compared to a 359 expected WOBA, 209 expected ISO, and a 9% swinging strike percentage to lefties. So I really prefer attacking him with lefties. Against righties, I tend to look to roster Thornton. I don't think I'll be getting there on the slate, but not really the makeup of a lineup that I want to take a lot of, against Thornton, especially if they're going to be popular.
Interesting. Yeah, not a lot of popularity going to the Yankees, actually. I feel like they're really easy to stack. They're a little expensive, but if you need to pay down, you can go to Morales instead of Voit. LeMahieu with the dual eligibility. Gleyber Torres on DraftKings, dual eligibility. You get Gary Sanchez, who probably is the best hitting catcher. If not, he's in that he's in a discussion where you would play him at other places other than catcher if you didn't have a catcher spot.
Yeah, no question.
So
Especially this year.
I kind of like the way the pieces fit together. I don't love it against the righty and Thornton, but I kind of like how easy it is to put together a 5-man Yankee stack.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I want to clarify that. Like, I don't mean that the Yankees don't have upside here. It's a pitcher that we don't have a huge sample size on, and he certainly had some bad starts this year. It's just that from the way the lineup sets up with all the righties, I think it's a less appealing spot because Thornton has been legitimately good against it, in that split.
No, that makes sense to me. Do you have any interest in Blue Jays bats against Paxton? I'm gonna assume no, outside of like one-off spots like Vlad Guerrero or Grichuk or something.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And with Guerrero and Grichuk, it's not that I like them. It's just that we talk about it in tournaments a lot that, you're just trying to get as much upside into your lineups as you can. And when you look at a $3,200 Randall Grichuk or a $3,500 Vlad Guerrero, if you start comparing them to other players, across positions at that price point, and you just say, who has the most raw power, who has the best chance of hitting 2 home runs in a game, and kind of take matchup out of it a little bit because you're just looking for raw upside. Those guys are going to stand out because they just have more power than that price tag.
Yeah, I completely agree. They're good spots for those individual hitters. Just because they can't come around with 3 more bats and turn into a 5-man doesn't mean that Vlad Guerrero against a lefty, no matter who that lefty is, isn't still viable. Especially at 2% ownership on FanDuel, 4% on DK. Like, that's the guy I just want to have as a one-off in a lineup and just think like, okay, I got a 3-run Vlad Guerrero dong in my favorite lineup because he's unowned.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested in. And I don't know, shout out to Vlad Guerrero, I guess.
I think it's a spot where there's a difference when you're building tournament lineups between just going off of median projection and actually factoring in how volatile different players are. And I think that's a spot where people mess up a lot. But Vlad Guerrero is not going to have the best median projection because he's facing James Paxton and he's probably going to suck a lot.
Yeah.
But when you just talk about the volatility that he offers, there's not many people in that price range that have the power that Vlad does and can just go out there and hit home runs off of anyone. So, that's where I think that there's a difference in how most people build their lineups versus how you should be building lineups. And that's why you get guys like that at low ownership.
There you go. Totally agree, by the way. To the Mets we go. Mets and Giants. 4.5 run implied total for the Mets, 4 for the Giants. I was honestly really surprised by these totals. 56% chance to win for New York. Jason Vargas going for the Mets. Tyler Beede going for the Giants. I don't have any interest in either one of these guys. It would be a really tough sell for me to want to spend $7,200 on Jason Vargas today. Am I missing anything? Do you have interest in Beede by any chance?
More so in Beede than in Vargas just because of the price difference. But when you talk about, $6,400 Beede versus $6,700 Gossman, I'll take Gossman. And when you throw a $5,600 Musgrove in there, I'll take him.
Yeah.
So I don't think that I get too much Beede either. I had a lot of him in his last start against Miami. And watching that start, I made a note that I actually want to start working on like a new metric that I create. Now, I haven't started on it yet, but I want to do something to factor in like 2-strike percentage, but also percentage of pitches thrown like either a foot outside or right down the middle, because like his command, at least in that start, was just so bad. He was getting ahead of every hitter on the Marlins to 2 strikes, and then it was just like 3 waste pitches, or he'd miss the corner and it'll just go right down the middle and he just couldn't put guys away. That's not really something you want to see from a major league pitcher. So just something to point out as far as BD goes.
There you go. Yeah, we were kind of talking about that. God, when was that? Was that it just in you and me in Slack or on a show about guys grooving pitches down the center?
We were probably talking about Noah Syndergaard.
You love that dude.
How did you do yesterday, by the way? Do you know?
Not well.
Okay.
I mean, basically anybody that was supposed to do well didn't do well.
Yeah.
I outside of for once again touting Shane Bieber.
What'd you say?
I said once again touting Shane Bieber.
Yeah, I didn't tout him, but he was good.
Always is sneaky good.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
Let's see. Why is this Tuesday? There we go. That makes sense. Stop showing me the stupid football positions for. Okay. How did Syndergaard do? Syndergaard ended up with 12.2 points.
Cool. Yeah, I thought he was a good play, so I'm not taking like a victory lap or
Yeah.
anything. It just always makes me happy when Syndergaard doesn't have big games.
Syndergaard 12.2, Madison Bumgarner 12.1, Strasburg 11.85, Blake Snell solid up until the Grand Slam 8.35. And Slack was whiny for that one. He gets out of that inning. I'm very happy with. Well, I'm not happy with Blake Snell's start, but like you're good to go. Get 8 Ks and 4 1/3.
I DM'd you right after lock complaining that Ryan Carpenter ended up in my top ranked lineup, and then he beat every single ace on the slate.
Yeah, Ryan Carpenter finished with 17.55 last night. Kyle Hendricks almost went for 30. Pablo Lopez almost went for 30. Wild night. Yeah. Wild night.
Baseball's fun.
Baseball is fun. Any interest in bats here? One guy that I just want to point out, Tyler Austin, getting a lot of love. 31% ownership on FanDuel, 17 on DK. He's 2,500 on FanDuel, 4,200 on DraftKings, which is kind of crazy, but hitting at the top of the order. I don't really have much interest in either one of these teams. I'm going to assume that you don't either, but I don't know. Sometimes you want to target against Jason Vargas.
Yeah, I mean, if either of them, well, I guess the Giants are the only one that's cheap. But if they get in there as like a cheap stack, it's okay. But they're just not good hitters for the most part. I'm with you on Austin. Brandon Belt, lefty, but he's a good hitter overall. From the other side, taking some left-handed power from the Mets is pretty appealing. Beatty's, small sample, but really had trouble with lefties so far. You might get Robinson Cano back at a cheap price tag. You should have Michael Conforto in the lineup with a lot of power. So getting to those guys is fun.
Yeah. I'm fine with the lefty power. I don't expect to have anybody here. Neither team grades out all that well. Neither team's going to gain. You're not going to gain any leverage from pitching. This one, I wouldn't mind if it just didn't exist. Basically doesn't for me. This one does, though. Indians and Twins. 4.6 run implied total for the Indians. 4.2 for the Twins. 55% chance to win for Cleveland. Carlos Carrasco going for the Indians. Martin Perez going for the Twins. Carrasco ownership. 31% on Yahoo, 30% on DK, 15% on FanDuel. He is one of the more popular pitchers on the slate, and I completely agree. To me, he is my favorite because of his price tag. I expect to have more Carlos Carrasco than I do any other starter. Curious to get your thoughts.
I'm not that interested in Carrasco. I mean, I think the price tag's okay, but it's a really tough matchup against Minnesota. So I think that he's a pretty reasonable option. But I think that just looking at my projections right now, I'll probably get to a lot more Chris Sale and then be going a little bit cheaper to some other guys at SP2.
Interesting. My favorite dude. I expected you to be there.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Go for it. Yeah. Adam's going to take a call for a quick second, so I will continue to fawn over Carlos Carrasco. If the Twins lineup comes in like it projects to, and we get Sano and we get Castro and we get Buxton, and I feel like I said this exact same thing yesterday, there are some strikeouts to be had here. What Carrasco really needs to do is work his way through Max Kepler and Eddie Rosario. And I could take and I guess Polanco to an extent. I'll take my chances there. Carrasco has the stuff to do it. I'm a fan. I wish the park was a little bit better of a factor for him. And the power certainly scares me. But his price tag, him being 9K on DraftKings, I can't get away from that. The fact that he is the same price as Cam Bedrosian is criminal. Just shouldn't happen. So, as of right now, I can't get away from him. The only thing that will change that is if the line moves in a negative direction for Carrasco, or if a couple of these high strikeout guys at the bottom of the Twins lineup gets pulled out of there. But as of right now, the projected lineup has me liking Carrasco most. Do you have any interest in Martin Perez?
Not unless he's really cheap. 7,400 is fine, but I still think that there's pitchers around him that I like a little bit more. He's like I think he's better than last season, but I still don't think he's some great pitcher. He's done a good job of limiting damage against him, but the strikeouts still haven't really been there this season, and the Indians don't have a ton of strikeouts in their lineup. So again, it's just the pricing on like Gossman and Musgrove just kind of ruins a lot of these mid range guys.
I love this. Carrasco had the stuff to do it, not has. Carlos Carrasco, 28.7 K rate this year, a 4% walk rate, the lowest of his career. It is the highest K minus BB percentage in the history of Carlos Carrasco's major league career.
Yeah, Carrasco's still been legitimately good this season.
Yep, fantastic. Hell of a take coming out of YouTube chat. Wouldn't be any other day. I wish all the YouTube bots that come for Live Before Lock would be here. Weed out some of that.
He called swinging strike plus called strike percentage. He's 18th, sitting between Marquez and Paddock, slightly ahead of Cy Young candidate Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
Two strike percentage, if I remember correctly, he's up there as well. 23rd in two strike percentage, tied with Eduardo Rodriguez and Charlie Morton. There's nothing wrong with Carrasco.
Nope, not at all. Chalky McChalkenstein wanted to let us know 2 separate times in about 2 minutes that Carrasco had negative 0.9 DK points in his last game against the Twins, which is what I would like to call completely irrelevant to me.
I mean, it's relevant in that the Twins are good, but it's not predictive of anything that's going to happen tonight.
It happened on March 31st. So not carrying a lot of weight.
So here's one interesting thing about Carrasco, and it is one reason that I'm scared of him against the Twins. And to be honest, I was scared of Bieber last night because he's very similar. But while he's really good in a lot of categories, among the qualified starters this season, and in particular among starters that are actually good in like every other aspect, he has one of the highest percentages of barreled balls on balls in play. 14.1% of balls hit against Carlos Carrasco are barreled. He basically on an island there. Like you have Shane Bieber at 12.2, Trevor Bauer at 10.4, Caleb Smith at 10.9. Those are all high numbers, but then you have Carrasco even higher than that. So that's like the one spot where he's really struggled this year. And, it's scary against a team with as much power as Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Minnesota crushes the ball. No disagreement there. I don't particularly care all that much.
No, yeah.
Not in a GPP. I'll take my chances. Love the dude. He's too cheap. He shouldn't be 9K. Silly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's silly. If you were 12K, I probably wouldn't want to play Carlos Carrasco. It would have looked different, but price is the biggest piece of this. Bats in this game. Clearly the Twins not getting any love. I don't mind having a couple full Twin stacks. They're going to go completely unowned. They're super expensive, but not going to bet it. Like, they have a ton of power. It's the kind of team that could mash a couple home runs here. So I get the idea of wanting to have a 5-man or 2 if you're playing 150. But do you have any interest in Indians bats here against Perez?
You're playing both sides like you're in Reddit. I have interest in the Twins lefties. They're really expensive, though, which is what's going to keep me from really getting to them a whole lot. But Carrasco has had some issues with lefties this year. 377 expected WOBA, 298 expected ISO, 287 actual ISO. That he's giving up power to both sides, but he's just getting destroyed by lefties in particular. So an Eddie Rosario or Jorge Polanco, it's an appealing matchup for them. It's just that when you start paying more money for those guys than others, it gets pretty tough. Like you're paying up to take guys against Carlos Carrasco, which is something that I kind of doubt that I end up doing.
Yeah, little popularity going to Lindor and Ramirez, but otherwise not much going to the Indians. And I don't get the sense that I'm going to have much either, outside of probably Lindor, who ends up in 10% of my lineups pretty much every night because he's a shortstop that hits leadoff.
Yeah, and he's good.
Yeah, and he's fantastic. Alrighty. Anything else from that game?
Nope.
Tigers and Rays. Tigers 3.8 run implied total. Rays 4.8. It's a 62% chance to win for the Rays. Spencer Turnbull going for Detroit. Charlie Morton going for the Rays. No ownership at all going to Turnbull. Morton 9% on Yahoo, 5% on FanDuel, 4% on DK. Morton is the second most expensive pitcher on FanDuel. He's at the top of the heap on DraftKings. He's tied for second on Yahoo. I would like to get more, but he is just priced in such a silly way today that I don't really know how to justify it all that much. Great spot, a sea of right-handed hitters that strike out a ton, but man, 11-6 on DraftKings. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm with you. The right-handed hitters don't even really help him all that much either from an upside standpoint. He's really good at limiting production against them, but his strikeout percentage against righties is like 8 percentage points lower than it is against lefties. And that's something that we've seen over the years that he's been better against lefties. Just has really good success with his curveball that he throws a ton to lefties. So even the makeup of the Tigers lineup, while there are a lot of strikeouts, it's not it's not one that really benefits Morton. But really, what keeps me off of him is that price tag relative to other guys, and he just doesn't go as deep into games. He very rarely throws over 100 pitches, and you compare him to some of these other pitchers at the top, and that's not the case with them. So it's a good matchup, but I don't see myself really paying up for him.
Yeah, same. Any bit that I get is not going to require me to make any changes on purpose, but I don't expect him to show up all that much. It's just too much. 11-6 is too much, especially when you price Chris Sale $1,000 cheaper. If you flip-flop their prices, it would make this entire slate better.
Yep, agreed.
Craziness. Any Turnbull? Too expensive, I'm assuming.
Yeah, too expensive. Too many good lefties in the Tampa lineup for me.
So let's talk bats here. I don't get the sense that I'm going to have much of either team. The Rays clearly are the team that I would be more likely to get to. They're just not a really easy stack, but if I can get a little bit of Meadows or Choi, that's my direction. I don't get the sense that I'll have a lot of five-mans. Let's see. I think they're getting a little bit more ownership than I thought. So they are third on FanDuel. They're fifth on DK. Okay. Any thoughts on Rays bats?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you. I like the left-handed power, but Meadows is kind of expensive. Lau's a pretty decent play, but if I get to some of the lefties there, I think it's fine. It's just not a spot where I expect to get a whole lot of full stacks.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Any interest in the power-hungry Miguel Cabrera coming off a nice grand salami yesterday? Did he find the power now?
I finally figured out how to hit. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, you and me both. I had at bat up on my phone for that. I was like, oh, loaded. I was like, just get out of this. Just get out of this. Just get out of this. In play runs. I was like, just be a single. Just be a single. Grand slam. Fuck. The whole process took like 30 seconds, but really, really miserable. Time to do a little bit of a plug. So what I'm going to do is put this on the screen so everybody else can see it, because it doesn't help if I'm just talking about it. You guys got to see what's going on. Maybe I could talk some people into doing it correctly, which unfortunately has not been happening a lot, or at least not enough. So on the screen, you'll see the Awesemo_com. It's at Awesemo_com Twitter handle. You'll see the pinned tweet. If you are able to be the closest guess to the total amount of points scored by the Warriors in Game 3, you can win 3 months worth of Awesemo Plus. What you have to do is retweet this tweet, follow the Awesemo_com and Awesemo NBA Twitter accounts, and then put in your guess for how many points you think the Warriors will score. Yes, I'm saying Warriors. That does not include the Raptors. This is not the total for the game. When you put in your guess and you put down 216, you can go ahead and assume that you have lost, unless this game goes to like 15 overtimes. Make sure you're reading the instructions, otherwise you're not going to win. I promise you this. We've got a bunch of them. But do this. Go to the Twitter account, retweet, follow, put in a guess. It doesn't cost you anything, and you have a chance to win 3 months of Awesemo Plus. You can't beat it. Game 3, score for the Warriors. Might be pretty low. They're dropping Warriors like flies right now. What are we getting tagged in here? How often does Carrasco outperform Sale at those price points? I mean, on DraftKings, I'd rather have Sale. On FanDuel, I'd rather have Carrasco. So slight dependent on that one. All right, moving on to the Brew Crew. 5.3 run implied total for the Brewers, 3.5 for the Marlins, 69% chance to win for Milwaukee. I mean, who cares about the Vegas line in this one? I'm sure the Marlins are just going to put up 27 runs again or whatever they did last night. Classic Marlins performance. Jimmy Nelson back on the hill for the Brewers. I can't say it the way that I'm supposed to say it. Sandy Alcantara going for the Marlins, and that's just what it's going to be.
Alcantara?
Yeah, no. I like the extra syllables. All right, this is the guy we need to talk about. Nelson is $33 on Yahoo, $8,500 on FanDuel, $8,200 on DraftKings. This guy was good a couple years ago, making his first start in a long time, up in the majors. Let's talk about this for a second. 41% expected ownership on Yahoo, 15 on FanDuel, 32 on DraftKings. I don't understand. I don't have him anywhere near this. I would imagine I'll have 0 of a guy that is at 32. So I need to know what I am missing. What have you seen on Nelson? Do you understand this exposure?
Yeah, I love Jimmy Nelson. That kind of ownership, because I factor that into my the lineups that I play, I might end up coming in a little bit below that. But just from a projection standpoint and everything, I love Jimmy Nelson. He threw 97 pitches in his most recent start at AAA. He's fully stretched out. It's a Miami team that has a lot of righties and strikes out a lot. He's in 2017, which was he didn't pitch at all last year because of an elbow injury. But in 2017, he struck out 27.3% of hitters. He struck out 28.5% at AAA this year. His walk percentage is up. That's a concerning thing at AAA. But the strikeouts have been there. There's certainly risk whenever you're talking about a guy making his first major league start in over a year. But I think the price tag's reasonable. I think the matchup's good, and I think Jimmy Nelson's a good pitcher.
I think he's a good pitcher as well. What's really concerning me is that walk rate in AAA right now. It makes me think that he is not ready from a command perspective. And that is keeping me lower on the amount of innings that I think he could actually go in this game. I'm not worried about his ability to go that long because he's clearly showing the opportunity to go deeper with pitches. I'm just not sure he can be efficient enough at that price, especially with that ownership. I'm happy to be wrong here. The Marlins can make him look a lot better. I'm not ready to jump on the Jimmy Nelson train just yet. Not at that ownership. Does that surprise you to see how high it is?
Yeah. When I first looked at my baseline projections, and when I first looked at the pitching slate, I was like, oh, cool. Like Jimmy Nelson, people will go to Carrasco, they'll go to wherever else. Like I can get some low on Jimmy Nelson. Everybody's going to forget about him. With that ownership, that does give me concern, especially because I agree with you. Whenever you see an elevated walk rate at AAA, it's especially concerning because, in general, those hitters don't have the plate discipline that major league hitters have. That's one of the big things that, the big differences between major league hitters that stick and major league hitters that don't, is guys that are able to not be, swinging at pitches out of the strike zone. And so it's concerning when you're walking the guys that don't have that skill. Especially because at earlier points in his career, he also struggled with walks. Nelson did. So it's not like it's, a totally new issue for him. So it is really concerning. And with his projected ownership that high, I think that I would probably come in underneath, below it. If that changes and people start to go to Carrasco or whatever, then I'd be glad to, get above it because I think that Nelson has the talent. I think it's just a risky spot. We don't really know what we're going to get.
Yeah, I have no doubt in his ability to miss bats. He's had that skill set for years. So that is not a piece of information that I'm worried about. I am worried about, can he get past the fifth? Can he not put a bunch of free batters on base and limit his upside? I'm willing to take those chances a lot more if he's 8%, but 32 on DK. The fact that he got to 15% ownership on FanDuel at 8,500 is incredible to me.
Yeah. I also think, though, so I'm really interested to see what happens with his ownership projections throughout the day, because he's the perfect example of a guy where, when you're trying to estimate ownership, a lot of it is just, kind of looking at different projection models and what's coming out in optimizers. It's really hard to quantify what people are going to do with a guy who hasn't thrown a pitch in the major league since 2017.
Yeah.
In general, people don't flock to those guys when they come back.
Yeah, let's see if he's a recommended pitcher on some other popular tout sites, and you'll probably get a decent idea of how it'll end up. Yeah, it's tricky. It's a spot that I'm prepared to be wrong on because I think that he actually does have really good strikeout stuff. It's just, well, I mean, you just can't go up against the Marlins team that can put up that many runs, you know? Do you think you'll end up on any Marlins because of Nelson's ownership?
I mean, not with any frequency. Like, do I think that I have any lineups with a Marlin in them? Probably.
Sure.
But no.
I'll have Granderson. I'll have some Cooper. I'll probably have some Castro. I mean, if Castro's 3,100 as a second baseman, like, you're just kind of going to end up with that a little bit, no matter how good or bad the Marlins are. This one's fun. I'm anxious to see how Nelson plays. He's been gone for so long. His last start in the majors was September 8th of 2017.
Yeah. Yeah, he was at one point, he was expected to be back last season. I remember I grabbed him in at FBC League and was like, oh, I'm just going to stash him and I'll have him for like the playoff run down the stretch. And then he just getting pushed back and pushed back.
In that final season, the 2017 season for the Brewers, 27% K rate, 6% walk rate, did a 3.05 FIP. He was just good across the board. 10.2 Ks per 9. Lost 2018. So we'll see where he rebounds to. Let's talk about Brewers bats here. I don't think either of us want old Sandy.
Alcantara?
I feel
so. Like,
are we talking about the pronunciation, or are we talking about Brewers bats?
I was going to talk about the pronunciation, but
okay,
I guess we can so it's Contra, like the Iran Contra thing, and then you just say Al in front of it.
Yeah, I'm not confused with how to say it.
What?
I'm not like, I don't think that I don't have the ability to say it correctly. No, I'm right. Alcantara. There are
Alcantara.
4 syllables.
It's Alcantara.
Alcantara. That's how it's pronounced on Baseball Reference.
Alcantara.
No.
Every Marlins game, it's Alcantara.
That's fine. If everybody also wants to be wrong about it, that's cool with me. So I can see the syllables on the screen. There are 4 of them here. I am making sure that when I speak his name, I say all 4 of them. Alcantara.
I think you're saying it closer and closer to how I say it every time you repeat it now.
Alcantara. I'm just going to say it like that from now on.
But yeah, no, not really interested here. I think he's a pretty decent pitcher, but brutal matchup in Milwaukee. A lot of left-handed power in this lineup. Strikeout numbers not as good against left-handed hitters. So it's pretty tough for me to get there. Again, when you're comparing him to, a Gossman or a Musgrove, I would give those guys the edge.
Brewers bats coming in 2nd for me on FanDuel, 5th for me on DraftKings, and I don't know, tied for 5th on Yahoo. They're a little popular. As of right now, they are 3rd in ownership on DK. They're the top owned stack on FanDuel, but this is a spot where I'll probably still have close to the field just because of their power upside, the amount of lefty power that they have, the matchup, the park. All of these signs seem pretty good for Milwaukee.
Yeah, I agree.
That was really fun. YouTube chat's just catching up to the pronunciation stuff.
19% strikeout percentage against lefties for Alcantara compared to 33% against righties too.
Who?
Sandy Alcantara.
Any favorite Brewers bats here? Relative to salary, whoa, Christian Yelich, welcome to the 6K club.
I was going to say Yelich, but also Yasmani Grandal because he's a catcher.
Would you rather play Joe Musgrove or Christian Yelich?
Right, exactly. I feel better about Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
Travis Shaw, his price tag really stands out.
Yeah, so Travis Shaw feels like a divide in the industry because I expect you and I to play him forever when he's at 2,800. And there are people that are just like, can't do it. He sucks. And I know we're right, but how do you want to
Yeah.
manage a guy that's just like doesn't seem to be succeeding all that often?
So I mean, he had a wrist injury. He says that it wasn't affecting his hitting. I have no idea. But
That's worse,
basically,
isn't it?
huh,
I
what?
mean, I'd be like, yeah, that was really fucking up my
Right.
hitting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so would I. But the really what it comes down to with Shaw is, yeah, he's been absolutely terrible this season, but we have a pretty long track record of him being a good hitter,
Yeah.
and it's not like sites are saying, okay, Travis Shaw's in a good spot, he's $4,000, do what you want. They're saying like we're going to price this guy like he's a minor league hitter. So at worst, you're paying for a minor league hitter, which is what Travis Shaw has been this season. But if you look at anything beyond his 158 plate appearances this season, which if you know anything about sample sizes in baseball is basically irrelevant, then or at least for most statistics,
Yeah.
there's nothing but upside at that price point. Why would you not be rostering him?
1,200 plate appearances over 17 and 18 as a 120 weighted runs created plus hitter. So I'm going to need a little bit more than 200. And I'm just going to chalk it up to wrist injury and hope that I'm there every day before. Look, the price is the problem, actually. I'd like to play him and have him not be chalky. It's just dumb to not play him at 2,800.
Right.
I'd rather him just be 4K and have no one on him and then still be making this exact same stand.
Right. Yeah, because then there's at least risk. Here there's just no risk. Like what's the worst that happens? You take a 0 on a hitter, who cares?
Especially at that price.
Yeah.
And it's allowing you to get to 6K Yelich and $5,600 Mike Moustakas. And I mean, everybody else on this team is crazy expensive except for Travis Shaw.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at his stats this year, like strikeout percentage stabilizes quickly. So yes, it's concerning that he struck out 23.1 or 31.6% of the time. His walk percentage is still good. He's still walking 11.4%. His ISO is 123, which is terrible. But ISO doesn't even stabilize until 160 at bats. He doesn't even have that many plate appearances. And if you go back and look, at previous years, he's had power every single year. So that's something that I'm not concerned about at all, especially knowing that he's dealt with a wrist injury. It's just I don't know.
To be fair, you do have a lot of experience with sluggers that completely lose all semblance of their power. You'll be paying for one for 25 years.
Oh, yeah. His ground ball percentage is lower this year than it was last year. His line drive percentage is higher. His fly ball percentage is slightly higher. Infield fly ball percentage is up a little bit, so that accounts for the fly ball percentage. But that's good. His pull percentage is down, which isn't great, but it's not like it's through the floor or anything. It's in line with every season other than last season. His batted ball profile is fine.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's not a whole lot to be concerned about here. Even his hard hit percentage is identical to last season.
I know. I just saw that too. That's feel free to play him. He should be in every cash lineup, right?
I would think so. I mean, I haven't built one, but I would think so.
Yeah. Just you're not going to find that savings elsewhere. All right, let's keep them moving. Rangers and Orioles. Rangers 5.1 run implied total. Orioles 4.1. 60% chance to win for the Rangers. Mike Minor going for Texas. John Means going for Baltimore. I really enjoyed the Orioles stack yesterday. Was not a big fan of Drew Smiley or whatever his name is. But let's talk about Mike Minor right now. 25% ownership on Yahoo, 12 on DK, 13 on FanDuel. How do you feel about Minor here in Texas against Baltimore?
I think it's a pretty interesting spot. I mean, Chris Sale kind of ruins it, but if you're going to get relatively low ownership on Minor, I think it's pretty interesting. He goes deep into games. 113, 100, 107 pitches in his last 3 starts, 90 before that, and then another string of 3 straight with over 100. So you're getting more pitches from him than you are from someone like, say, Charlie Morton or James Paxton. The Orioles' active roster since the start of 2017 has the highest strikeout percentage against left-handed pitching, which is good. You're getting a lot of right-handed hitters in the Orioles lineup. Minor has struck out 25.7% of righties this year. He's held them to a 240 xWOBA, 119 xISO. He's been really, really good. He's the guy that I think if you are looking for a direct pivot off of Chris Sale that can beat Sale a reasonable percentage of the time, even though he's not projected to do so, Miner's in a pretty nice spot.
Yeah, I don't expect to get to anywhere near the field on DK just because of Sale. Would you rather have Paxton or Miner?
Miner.
Okay. Would you rather have Marquez or Miner?
Now you're asking me about guys we haven't talked about yet. I think it's close.
Okay.
Um,
Actually, do we have a line on that Marquez start yet? There was not
Yeah,
there wasn't a total when I started.
it's less than 8.
I put it in. I think I put it in at 8 or 8.5 because I saw the wind. Didn't know for sure. Yeah. Oh wow, 7.5. So yeah, I like Marquez even more now. Cool. I did put it in at 8, so it's not going to be that dramatic. Wise Will asks, "What are you drinking, Josh?" A little thing called water. Any John Means love for you?
It's no crazier than Musgrove.
He's crazier than Musgrove. Yeah, I agree.
I said no crazier than Musgrove.
Oh, I must have misheard you. Yeah, no Means for me, but everybody already knows that. So, do you have any actual Means takes? Because people know that I'm not playing him.
Yeah, I think that he's actually a pretty interesting play here against a Texas lineup. Like, he's really cheap. He's 5,800 on DraftKings. Yes, the park is bad, but he's facing a lefty-heavy lineup. He struck out 29.4% of lefties this year. He's been really good against lefties in particular. Against righties, he hasn't been bad. He's got 2 pitches that I think are very intriguing pitches, at least when you look at movement compared to every other pitcher in baseball with his fastball and his changeup. Basically, fastball slider to lefties, and the slider's been basically unhittable. So yeah, I do actually have interest in Means here.
Craziness. Outlandish.
The lineup to Shield in the lineup over Joey Gallo certainly helps as well.
I think they have different power profiles.
They have the same contact profile, but different power profiles.
I feel like Gallo could use DeShields as his bat. All right, time to put this out into the public. I like the Orioles more than I like anything in this game.
You mean John Means because he's on the Orioles?
No, Orioles hitters. Sorry, let me be more specific. I don't like John Means ever in anything. But I like the Orioles bats. Relative to their salary, I expect the Orioles to be one of my more owned stacks today, much like they were yesterday.
I hope they play that clip at John Means Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Yeah. Are they going to put him in on that 20 whatever % K rate against the 51 lefties he's faced this year?
Yeah.
I'm hitching my wagon to that one. If you only need 51 plate appearances against lefties to get put in the Hall of Fame, then I agree. John Means is knocking on the door.
His changeup he's going to be good against righties.
He's what now?
Going to also be good against righties.
When?
At some point going forward.
Oh. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he's not.
Okay.
Could be the garbage K minus BB rates against righties or the 5.24 xFIP that he's been dropping against righties, but I'll take my chances of never seeing John Means pitch in 2020.
Yeah, no, he'll be in the Orioles rotation.
Well, he'll be in the Orioles rotation because they're garbage.
I mean, he'll be like, even when the Orioles are turning into a good team, he'll be there unless like he's a free agent. I don't know his contract status. I assume he'll.
I'm sure he's on the league minimum. He's 26. I'm sure he's making the league minimum. Let's find out. No contract information even on FanGraphs. That's how irrelevant it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's any number you're looking at on Means projection-wise is from a totally different pitcher, so it's kind of irrelevant.
Sure. The fact that you think that he'll be in a lineup, in the starting lineup, or not starting lineup, in the staff for the Orioles when they're good again, the balls on that kind of statement, as if the Baltimore Orioles are going to be any good before John Means turns 30.
They'll probably be good in like 3 years.
I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna assume that that's not the case, and that they're not making the playoffs anytime soon.
Like 3 to 5 years, I guess.
Do you think that the Orioles What would you set the line at for Orioles to make the playoffs in the next 5 years? And when I say make the playoffs, I mean the real playoffs, not that stupid one-game playoff nonsense. You're also not playing in the first round when you're one of those
if
people.
You're excluding the wild card, then that moves the line a lot when you're talking about a division that has the Yankees and Red Sox in it.
Yeah, I know. That's the point of all of this. If they play a real series in the playoffs, what are you setting the line at?
I mean, I don't know.
Is it a coin flip?
Probably not, because they have zero chance in the next within the next 3.
Agreed. Okay. So you think that John Means is going to be a stalwart in this rotation for the next 5 years until they can have a coin flip chance to make the playoffs?
I think John Means will be a major league pitcher and pitch until he's 36 or something.
Okay. I'll take that bet. Means could beat up Josh. No, why we got to go there? Just because I think he sucks at baseball doesn't mean I have a problem with the guy. I don't want to hurt him. John Means makes $555,000.
That's the minimum, right?
I don't know. That's just what I mean. I don't even know if it's true. It's just what's in YouTube chat. We all know the value of that information. So thank you, Corey. Seriously though, I'm gonna have a lot of Orioles bats today.
Yeah, and then seriously, I'll be rostering John Means.
Will you have any Orioles bats? How do you feel about them as a stack today against Minor?
Not really there.
Okay.
I mean, Mancini's price tag is nice. I don't know why he's so cheap, but yeah, in general, I don't expect to get to a lot of Baltimore.
Okay. So since you're such a Means guy, you avoiding Texas here in Texas with the 5-run implied total?
I wouldn't expect to get to a lot of Texas.
Okay. See where they're coming in ownership wise.
I mean, it's just where do you go? Chu has the lefty-lefty matchup. Andrus is expensive. Hunter Pence is almost the same price as Christian Yelich. Mazzara is lefty-lefty. Logan Forsythe sucks. Asdrubal Cabrera can't hit right-handed. Odor's lefty-lefty. Jeff Mathis is worse than most pitchers, and Delino DeShields isn't much better than Jeff Mathis. So, where are you going?
Yeah, I don't find them to be terribly interesting. Nobody really standing out as a guy that I would want to prioritize. I just can't pay $5,700 for Hunter Pence on purpose.
Right. I mean, I do think that Texas, if you're looking to Texas, they're more appealing as a full stack than as one-offs, because as I kind of just alluded to, there's no one that stands out as a really good one-off here when you factor in price and everything. But Baltimore does have a terrible bullpen. If Means does get in trouble, or it's a park that plays up home runs, there's certainly a chance he gets in trouble early and that, Texas just tacks on runs the entire game. But if that's the case, you want 5 Texas hitters, not 1, because that doesn't do you any good.
Right. I agree with you there. All righty, moving on. Cubs and Rockies. Cubs 3.9 run implied total. Rockies 3.6. The 52% chance to win for the Cubs. Yu Darvish going for Chicago. German Marquez going for the Rockies. This is a tale of 2 different ownerships. So here's Darvish across all 3 sites. 26% on Yahoo, 12% on FanDuel, 39% on DK. Marquez is 13% on Yahoo, 9% on FanDuel, 7% on DK. I got to start with Darvish. I completely agree with that ownership. I don't really know how it's going to shake out for me as of right now, but I totally understand why Yu Darvish is projected for the second most ownership in this slate, at least on DraftKings. How do you feel about Darvish? We'll start there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I have him. My baseline projections have him as the top DraftKings value pitcher, point per dollar. He has the 5th highest strikeout percentage on the slate. He's facing a Rockies team that has strikeouts in their lineup. He's gotten his walks under control a bit in recent starts. He's not perfect, but he's really inexpensive, and he does give you a lot of strikeout upside here. So I'm there on Darvish.
Yeah, I wish he was more expensive. Just he's the 14th most expensive pitcher on the slate, 7,100. He just opens everything else up. Below Jimmy Nelson, we have Yu Darvish at 39%. No one else is above 8. Only Musgrove is at 8. Everybody else is 4 or below. There's just no ownership going elsewhere. I don't know what to do with that. If you knew that Darvish was at 39% and Jacob Junis was unowned, what would you want to do with that ownership?
If I knew Darvish was at 39% and who was what?
Junis at 1%.
Um, I mean, I'd be fine going to Darvish. Like, I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to like individual ownership like flips all that much because I just make lineups where I make contrarian lineups, but I can still play a lot of popular plays.
I try to pay attention to it in these spots when there's no one else around him. He's the only guy getting ownership at that price point, which means that there's some sort of like normal construction coming off of Darvish. It's Sale plus Darvish plus whatever. And that's where I just want to be a little bit more different. I don't know. It's a weird spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, I would just take all the Darvish and not worry about Junis, and then I'll have different lineups somewhere else.
Okay. Talk Marquez. I love him. He's got a weird price everywhere. I'm a big fan on FanDuel where he's like the lowest of all of those high-end arms. I expect I'll get the most of him there. On DK, he's the lowest of the five-figure guys, but I greatly prefer Sale just slightly above him. I greatly prefer Carrasco quite a bit below him. What do you expect to do with German Marquez?
I don't expect to get a ton here for a couple of reasons. One being Chris Sale, like you said. Two being that the mid-range of pitching on the slate's pretty deep, and so you can save money going down to some guys that have similar upside, whether that's Carrasco or Nelson or whoever you prefer. But also, the Cubs are a team that doesn't have a ton of strikeouts in their lineup, and Marquez does have some pretty sizable splits between lefties and righties. Not in terms of production, he's good at limiting production, but in terms of strikeouts. This year, he's struck out 28.3% of righties compared to 18.8% of lefties. Last year, it was similar. He struck out 20 since the start of last season. He struck out 21.1% of lefties, 33% of righties. You have a pretty balanced Cubs lineup, kind of skewing towards lefties. So it's just not an ideal spot for him, and I would just rather have Chris Sale if I'm paying that price tag.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's tough. I really, really do like that 9K price on FanDuel. I think that makes it a little bit more reasonable with him being $2,500 away from Chris Sale, even $300 below Carrasco. So that's the spot where I expect to get a bunch of Marquez. And then from a bats perspective here, it's more like cash game plays than anything else. If Schwarber continues to lead off and be cheap, he becomes interesting. I think Trevor Story is probably the bat I like the most in this game, but I don't get the sense that I'm going to be stacking up either side of this with all that much gusto.
Yeah, I think Schwarber and Dahl are my two favorite bets.
Okay. I have no issue with that. Baez for 4,300 with dual eligibility is pretty interesting. There's just not enough going on from this game that's great, other than the fact that Wrigley plays up to righty power. Alrighty, let's keep it moving. Cardinals and Reds, 4.9 run implied total for the Cards, 4.1 for the Reds, 58% chance to win for St. Louis. Dakota Hudson going for the Cardinals, Anthony Desclafani going for Cincinnati. I can't imagine either one of us want Hudson. Desclafani is a guy that's not getting any ownership, and he's a guy that I would look to pivot a little bit of that Yu Darvish ownership from. The Cardinals have not been as dramatically right-handed as they were to start the season. They're working in a bunch more, switch hitters and lefties, but this is a spot where I think that I'm going to get a little bit of Desclafani, certainly more than the 1% we're projecting on DraftKings. I tend to get a little bit of him always, so I'm curious where you stand on him.
Yeah, I mean, I could see getting to a little bit. I don't think I'll get to a ton. Like you said, there's more lefties in the lineup now. They're not the best lefties, with Wieters and Fowler and Wong. Carpenter's good, but Desclafani, pretty significant splits. Gives up a ton of power to lefties, doesn't give up power to righties, strikes out righties, doesn't strike out lefties. He's okay. I don't think I get a ton. I probably get more than 1%.
Yeah, I don't want it to seem like I'm gonna have like 30 or something, but I wouldn't be surprised if I had like 8 or 9. And that's a lot in comparison when you're only projecting 1. And no Hudson.
No, I don't think I'll get the Hudson.
Okay. Reds getting both teams actually, a little bit of love on FanDuel. I prefer the Cardinals to the Reds, but I don't really have much interest in either one of these teams as a full stack. I do like some of the bats at the top of the Cardinals lineup. Carpenter's leading off, Paul DeJong, Goldschmidt, Ozuna. Those guys are just good. So I have no problem getting there. If I get to $3,800 Joey Votto or something, that's also fine for me. But I don't see a lot of full 5-mans coming here.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, the Cardinals are just a talented offense that I get to sometimes as full stacks, especially when they're inexpensive like they are today. So I could see getting some of that. From the Reds, I really like the lefties. Derek Dietrich in particular, I think is a really good play. He's expensive, so that should keep his ownership down. But he's made seemingly some legitimate adjustments at the plate. He's hitting for a ton of power, and Hudson's really gotten lit up by lefties this year. So looking to Dietrich makes sense. Votto is cheap. So yeah, I think the Cardinals are the higher upside stack just because of the talent level of their lineup. But I think that targeting Reds lefties makes sense too.
Yeah. Favorite bat in this entire game?
Carpenter.
It's hard to disagree with that, just because of leading off. So
And he's
massive.
Lefty against Desclafani,
Yeah.
best lefty in the Cardinals lineup. Don't care what he's done this year as a hitter.
Agreed. 3 to go. Royals 3.4 run implied total. Red Sox 5. It's a 66% chance to win for Boston. Jacob Junis going for Kansas City. Chris Sale going for Boston. Junis getting no love. I'm just going to say that I'll have a little bit of him if he's really at 1%. It's a terrible spot, but at least it's a good park. But Chris Sale's the guy that we need to talk about. He's the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel by $1,100. And he's projected to be the chalk, which is interesting to me. But on DraftKings, they were like, you know what? We're going to make it a little weirder. He's the 4th most expensive pitcher. He's a full $1,000 away from Charlie Morton. And he's projected to be the chalk here as well at 42% ownership. And not to leave Yahoo out, Chris Sale is $62, which is $7 higher than any other pitcher. Third most owned guy as of right now. Let's talk about Sale. A lot of this is going to be site specific. How do we manage a guy like Sale against the Royals in a pitcher's park today?
I think he's clearly the top pitcher on the slate. On DraftKings at that price, it's basically going to be impossible for me to get away.
Yep.
On FanDuel, where he is more expensive and he's still popular, you can certainly, if it gets you more bats, you can make the case for getting down to some other pitchers. The thing with FanDuel is that their hitter pricing generally is so bad that you can get whatever bats you want with Sale. So that's something to be aware of. And then on Yahoo, again, the pricing is better. I would still be looking to get Sale into my lineups. And unless I'm getting some pretty significant upgrades at hitter or SP2 or something, that's still the route that I would want to go.
Yep.
But FanDuel and Yahoo, at least there's some merit to find me another direction. On DraftKings, I really don't see the point.
Yeah, I completely agree. DK, I don't know how you go somewhere else. I think he's pretty clearly the best option on the slate. On FanDuel, just with Morton and Paxton and Minor and Carrasco, Marquez, we're not even talking like there are more guys that people are interested in. Nelson and Darvish both have double-digit ownership. We haven't talked about Brad Peacock, and no one is touching him. There are so many options on FanDuel that paying that full price tag for Sale, I'm clearly going to have some. He's the best pitcher on the slate, but there are really easy ways to make a pivot and free up $2,000 for additional hitters. That ends up being a lot. It'll be interesting seeing what the lineups look like when you have Sale in will tell the whole story. If you're still getting to all those hitters when you have Sale, then it's not going to matter what Sale's price is. If you're not, I think that keeps his ownership down. I'm honestly surprised to see Sale be the chalk on FanDuel. I didn't expect it.
I think he's just easily the best pitcher on the slate.
Yeah, that'll generally do it. Will you have any Junis?
Have you seen Sale's numbers? If you just take out those first few starts where something was clearly wrong with him.
I have not, but I know he's good. So
he's thrown 45 innings if you exclude those first 4 starts. 41.1% strikeout percentage, 6.7% walk percentage, 2.7 xFIP, 251 WOBA allowed.
Yeah, he's dirty. 34.3% K rate on this season.
Yeah.
God. He's just mowing people down. He's a terrifying dude to face. Any Junis for you?
Nope. I mean, I say no. No intentional Junis. Like if I get a
Yeah.
Junis lineup that's possible, I don't exclude guys.
He's a guy I get a lot. Not like I get a lot of Jacob Junis, but he's a guy that is always in play as like a just under 10% of my pitching exposure guy. It just never fails. Clearly a scary spot with the Red Sox facing him, but I'm hoping that the incredible pitcher's park of Kansas City helps. A little bit of weather here as well, if I'm understanding correctly. But I mean, pretty much every single game has weather, so you're going to want to tune into the deeper dive into Live Before Lock today to get that updated information, because there's not a lot of merit in guessing at 10:40 in the morning. How do you want to handle these Red Sox bats? Not a ton of ownership going to anybody other than JD and Mookie. They grade out well enough. What do you think about Boston here in a pitcher's park?
I like Boston. Junis will give up home runs. The weather here should be favorable for hitting. The ball starts to carry a bit during the summer months out in Kansas City, and it should be hot, pretty warm and humid here, especially with rain in the area. So I like Boston. They're affordable for the most part. Rafael Devers has been absolutely amazing lately, but you get JD at less than 5K on DraftKings. You get Mookie at less than 5K. That makes it it makes it easier to stack Boston than it usually is. And if you're looking to be extra contrarian in your stack, overpaying for Xander Bogaerts is a way to do it.
I have no issue with it. Getting to Boston will have to be a manual manipulation for me, but I'm willing to make that happen from time to time, just based on where the public is. They're not getting, it's basically just Betts and JD. Everybody else doesn't really get any ownership. So I don't know if you're a big Brock Holt guy today. He might open some things up for you. You shouldn't be a big Brock Holt guy. He's not very good. But just in case you are.
I'm assuming that Mookie and JD just get me to Boston stacks or at least some of them, because I have them projected so well, and I run so many double stacks that if I'm getting, if they're in lineups, it's going to pull more Boston guys in.
Yeah, it's the Michael Trout corollary. That would end up with too many Angels.
Yep.
Any Royals bats?
No, thank you.
Agreed. 2 to go, guys. As we mentioned, the Angels 4.5 run implied total. Athletics 4.5. I'd go on, but at this time, I think everybody should just hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Both of those things help us out, and honestly, they help you out as well. The more likes that we can get on a video, the better it ends up being for Awesemo, and the better it is for our content. And if you subscribe, you'll never miss a show. Why would you want to miss a show? It's a 50-50 game, 4.5 on both sides. Cam Bedrosian going for the Angels, Daniel Mengden going for the A's. This is not going to be a spot where I am taking any pitching, but I just want to point out a couple salaries, because I think DraftKings tried to price this game as if Steve Bedrosian was pitching. Cam is $25 on Yahoo. That's the minimum. He's $5,500 on FanDuel. The minimum. He's $9,000 on DraftKings. Who fat fingered this one? Did they think that was a 6? Did they just get that number wrong? This is insanity.
I think they kept their showdown pricing.
There you go. Yeah. Just it's nuts. Do you want either guy?
No.
So then let's talk A's bats. They're pretty popular. They are currently our chalk stack on DraftKings. They are second on FanDuel. I like the top of this order. They're really affordable. They're not hard to stack. Semi and Chapman Olsen going 1, 2, 3, shortstop, third base, first base. I didn't even mention the fact that Chris Davis isn't expensive. How do you want to handle the A's today here against the Angels and Bedrosian?
Yeah, so I think Pena is supposed to be the guy coming in after Bedrosian. Pena's better against, at least according to FanDuel. Pena's better against righties than lefties, but it really comes down to the pricing on the A's. They're just so cheap, and you get so much power from Chris Davis. You get so much power from Matt Olson. Both those guys less than 4K on DraftKings. What?
No, I never saw Pena's name during any of this.
He's listed as on the probable pitchers page on FanGraphs, and Bedrosian's not a starter, so I assume that's what they're doing.
Oh, I usually go to the live scoreboard page for FanGraphs, and they do have Pena listed, but they have him listed as the starter. And normally they list out the like long man type stuff.
Yeah, you're right. I just noticed I didn't have Bedrosian.
So I guess that's what threw me off, just because I didn't, I just scroll down to see if there's more than one guy listed just to catch my eye, and I didn't see it, so I never even made the change. So let me swap out Bedrosian. I would have never even talked about him.
Yeah, I assume it's Pena just because Bedrosian's not a starter, and they've been using Mr. Pena.
All right, I've got Pena in now, so make that change. Sorry, go on.
But yeah, so I mean, Pena's better against righties than lefties, but Davis just has so much power at that price tag. Chapman has power. Piscotty has power. I love Matt Olson from the left side. So I think Oakland's a stack that just gives you a lot of upside, and they also let you get whatever pitching you want. It's also a park upgrade for them. Angels Park actually plays well for power now since they lowered the fences, and Oakland is just trash. And like the ballpark is just a terrible place to hit anyway, so it's not hard to have a park upgrade there.
A's just jumped to my number one stack on FanDuel and DK when I put Pena in. Pena $7,800, $1,200 cheaper than Bedrosian.
I assume because you had Bedrosian's a reliever, so his numbers are just insanely good.
Yeah. And he was in for 5 innings.
Right.
Yeah. So
don't think that's gonna happen.
No, not at all. Yeah, I'm gonna get to some A's bats, especially those first 4. Matt Chapman for $4,400 at only 7% ownership is probably my favorite play coming from the A's. Do you have any interest in Angels bats that aren't Trout or Ohtani?
No, Ohtani was going to be the one that I harped on.
Yeah. Those 2 guys will probably make me get to more Angels, but I'm not terribly enamored with it.
Yeah. I think Magnan's decent. He's not good. He's not bad.
Yeah. I don't have much to say out of this game. Angels bats look good. That's pretty much it. Pena is too expensive at $7,800 to want to go there.
Agreed.
Let's close it out. Mariners and Astros, 3.9 run implied total for the Mariners, 5 for the Stros, 61% chance to win for Houston. Mike Leake going for the Mariners, Brad Peacock going for the Astros. Absolutely no ownership at all going to Peacock. He's $46 on Yahoo, $8,600 on FanDuel, $9,600 on DraftKings. He is just a little overpriced on DK to be really, really viable. But I kind of have a little bit of interest in Peacock as a pivot. Depending on how this Mariners lineup looks, while they do have a lot of lefties, there is a lot of swing and miss. This could break well for Peacock, and he's going to go completely under-owned today. Do you have any interest in him?
I'm on the same page. I'm mildly interested because I do think that there's a lot of strikeout potential here, but they have just enough lefties that it concerns me. He's only struck out 21.5% of lefties. He's, over the last couple of years been much better against righties. And when you just kind of take a look, you take a step back and look at the slate, it's like, does Peacock have upside at 9,600? Like he does in this spot, but you get the same ceiling from Carrasco and from Nelson and from Darvish even. So,
yeah,
it gets really tough. Like the way that it would make the most sense to get Peacock into a lineup, I think, would be as your SP1, but that means foregoing Chris Sale for $1,000 more. So I don't think I get to a lot of Peacock. He's the one guy that we talked about on the entire slate where I've said I don't think I get a lot of him, and it scares me. Like I could be looking at teams at the end of the night and being like, God, I wish I had more of him. But I just think if you played this slate every single day for the season and your choices were, have a bunch of Peacock or don't, I think that not having him is the correct side.
Here's the question for you. Since DraftKings, the price is too big of a gap. Peacock is $8,600. He's unowned. Jimmy Nelson is $8,500 and has 15% ownership. Not that 15 is some sort of ridiculous number that you have to get away from, but I would rather have Brad Peacock than Jimmy Nelson today.
Yeah, I think they're very, very, very comparable. So their ownership really should be similar.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same. On DK, where they're separated, I still don't like Nelson, but I don't want that piece to cloud what I'm saying. The fact that they're split by $1,400 just changes the way that you're talking about it. Right. Astros bats were my most popular stack last night with the Orioles. I don't get the sense that I'm going to be going there with that much gusto today. Do you have any interest in the Astros as a full stack?
I have some just because with them being injured, they're pretty cheap. You can get some good pitching with the Astros, and they still have some good hitters.
Yeah.
Bregman in particular, I think, is a great play. Uh, he's a really, really good hitter. He's a shortstop on FanDuel now, which is nice. DraftKings still hasn't given him multi-position eligibility, but Bregman in particular, like Leak is a guy that has a really fine, like really thin margin of error, and he has not been good at all this season, getting absolutely blasted, especially by right-handed hitters. So I really, really like Bregman. I think Fisher's a good play, gives you some stolen base upside. And Chirinos has power at catcher, and then you're kind of just filling out with Brantley's a good hitter, Gurriel's an okay hitter, but it's a stack that is pretty affordable.
Yeah, no single player on any site on either team is in double digits in ownership, so I have no problem getting to a little bit of Astros. I just don't get the sense that they're going to be a high volume team for me, and I can't imagine getting to too much Seattle. They are much more. Damn, I don't remember which team we were talking about earlier, but there's a spot where, like, if I get a Dan Vogelbach or Kyle Seager power bat as a one-off, I'm not surprised by it, but
right.
I can't imagine stacking up the Mariners here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like 3,400 on DraftKings for Seager is a pretty nice price tag.
Yeah,
he has less power than Guerrero. He has a bit better matchup against Peacock than Guerrero does against Paxton.
Yeah, he's $9 on Yahoo as well.
Yeah, so really nice price tag on Seager.
Yeah, man, 12 games up, 12 games down. So favorite pitching. Let's just sum it all up because I feel like we've talked about a lot of different stuff. Favorite pitching on the slate today.
Chris Sale, Yu Darvish, John Means in tournaments. I'm not even joking. On 2 pitcher sites, obviously.
Oh, you're not running them out in 60% on FanDuel. For me, Sale, Carrasco, Darvish, and then at some point in time, someone's going to separate from the Morton Paxton Minor Marquez group of 4. But I expect Joe Musgrove to be the guy that really pains me in the end. Let's talk about hitting. Favorite stacks for me: A's, Yankees, Orioles, Brewers. Where are you leaning right now?
Houston, A's because of their pricing. Man, this slate's pretty wide open. Milwaukee. Yeah, this is a pretty fun tournament slate. There's no stack where I'm just like, man, I don't know how not to have that.
So the A's have 8% aggregate ownership right now, which averages 4. So they're double the field. But then we have 12 teams from 5% to 7%. Like, it's just it's a unique slate. I'm really anxious to see how it moves, how the weather impacts everything, line changes, lineups. You can really shuffle the deck chairs here and change the entire slate. So should be interesting. Coming up later today, we will have the deep dive from Laffy in the early afternoon. Deeper dive coming up with Adam, with the boss man himself, Alex Baker, with Laffy, and then live before lock today, 6 to 7, myself and Chris Spags taking you all the way up until close. And then tonight, 9 p.m., you know it, on Wednesdays, Ben Rasa, Jason Roslin will be talking about the RBC Canadian Open coming up starting tomorrow morning. They will be live from 9 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. So that's a look at some of the video content we've got coming out today. Articles and projections for all of the sports that we cover are posted to the site. We have PGA rankings and projections and PGA ownership all live already. So if you're looking to build any PGA lineups, all that information is already ready for you. Not to mention a ton of articles and videos between Ben and Jason and Nolan. You playing PGA tomorrow?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, you and me both. At some point in time, I want to be good at it. It feels like a fun sport it feels like the sport that I'd like to be good at more than anything else.
It's my favorite DFS sweat.
I'm guessing that it will be if I ever am any good. I haven't had the opportunity to sweat at all. I feel like I'm in an ice bath.
Yeah, I'm slightly up lifetime in PGA, so it just kind of feels like a hobby that makes me a little bit of money.
All of my max entry stuff has not been great in the past month or so. Single entry, though, has been better. So going to pay a little bit more attention to that. That's where we're at, though. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Subscribe to the channel. Use the promo code MLB Strategy, which is one word. Get 50% off your first month with us. Check out the link that I'm dropping in chat right now. If you want to sign up at Yahoo, use the link that is inside of Emacs Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. If you sign up at Yahoo using the promo code AWESOMO, you'll get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. Adam, anything else?
Nope.
All righty. Best of luck, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.